One of the most consequential geopolitical developments is reshaping South Asia.
The first phase, CPEC has been immensely helpful in meeting our energy requirements. And now I think we have to move into the second phase.
A $62 billion infrastructure project has evolved into something far more ambitious and potentially dangerous. This is the story of CPEC 2.0, that's China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, China's strategic masterstroke that's sending shockwaves through New Delhi and beyond. Imagine this, a 3,000-kilometer corridor stretching from China's western regions to Pakistan's Arabian sea coast.
As far as dealing with CPEC 2.0 or CPEC is concerned, I think the best way of dealing with it is to deal with China diplomatically.
Roads, railways, power plants, and a strategic port that could reshape global trade routes. But here's the twist. This isn't just about economics anymore, and I'll explain why. Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. What we are witnessing isn't merely Pakistan seeking Chinese investment. It's a desperate nation betting its sovereignty on Beijing's grand strategy. Let me paint you the picture of Pakistan's predicament. Pakistan is drowning, foreign reserves depleted, IMF dependency chronic, structural reforms delayed. When Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif boards that plane to Beijing later this month, he's not just launching CPEC 2.0, he's potentially signing away whatever economic independence Pakistan has left. But here's where it gets fascinating. China isn't offering charity, it's offering transformation through integration. 5 new economic corridors, each designed to embed Pakistan deeper into China's sphere. Special economic zones where Chinese factories relocate. Agricultural modernization where Chinese agribusiness takes root. Technology partnerships where Chinese surveillance capabilities expand. The numbers are staggering. $35 billion in new projects, 2.3 million projected jobs, and Pakistan's audacious goal of capturing $30 to $50 billion of China's annual $2 trillion import market. They're even projecting that artificial intelligence alone will add $88 billion to their economy by 2030.
What I perceive is that in CPEC, the original CPEC, you had nodes where industries are being located, which will be primarily Chinese industries with local labor at lower levels. And these are going to be connected with corridors which are being connected, and this is what is happening. Many of the power plants, coal-fired power plants from China have been shifted to Pakistan, which are being established. Now, in case of Afghanistan, I think setting up of industry will be too far-fetched at this stage. So in this CPEC 2.0, what you are going to see is basically the mining points where there are large number of mines, minerals that China hopes to extract. So these corridors will connect these mining sites, iron ore or even lithium is supposed to be there. So I feel these mining sites will be connected through a trade corridor, which might probably come via Pakistan or more likely from Central Asia or may go thereafter to Iran. So what is the fine print we will get to know in due course. But I think the CPEC 2.0 is more basically a matter of perception as far as bringing Pakistan and Afghanistan together is concerned.
Let's shift our focus to the player watching this unfold with growing alarm, India. For New Delhi, CPEC 2.0 represents nothing short of a strategic nightmare. Imagine waking up to find your neighbor has not only occupied part of your backyard, but has now invited a rival superpower to build permanent structures there. That's exactly what's happening in Gilgit-Baltistan. The corridor runs directly through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Now, with CPEC 2.0 expanding special economic zones in these areas, China is effectively normalizing Pakistan's illegal occupation. It's a fait accompli strategy that's both brilliant and deeply concerning. But the real crown jewel, or should I say, the real threat, is Gwadar Port. Officially, it's a commercial facility. Unofficially? Well, ask yourself this. When has China ever built major infrastructure without considering its dual-use potential? Gwadar sits at the mouth of the Persian Gulf, controlling access to some of the world's most crucial shipping lanes. For India's Navy, this represents a fundamental shift in Indian Ocean dynamics.
See, we need to understand that Gwadar is like a Gibraltar of Persian Gulf. Any country or any power, maritime power sitting there can easily interdict any shipping that is entering or leaving Persian Gulf. So as far as Persian Gulf is concerned, Gwadar makes it an attractive place to monitor anything which is entering or leaving, or even interdict if you want to. So the strategic location wise, Gwadar is one of the finest ports. In fact, as early as 50s, I think the ADBs had identified Gwadar as one of the best location for a transshipment port. And that's why Pakistan subsequently went for it. But economic viability has been a question mark. And that's been primarily because Gwadar has not been successfully connected with the Pakistani hinterland. As of now, it's connected only with the coastal highway. And it does not make economic sense to offload goods at Gwadar and take them by coastal highway almost close to Karachi and then take them up. So as long as Balochistan remains restive and there is no safety and security of goods and cargo that is moving through it, I don't visualize Gwadar being economically viable. And that is the situation as far as CPEC is concerned. And as long as Baloch continue to feel that CPEC is nothing but an instrument which Islamabad is using to colonize their land, I don't think so there's likely to be peace in this part of the world.
This brings us to China's broader string of pearls strategy, a network of strategic facilities stretching from Gwadar to Hambantota in Sri Lanka, Kayokpyu in Myanmar. India is slowly being encircled. But here's where the plot thickens even further. Enter Afghanistan. On the 20th of August, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang made his first visit to Kabul in over 3 years. The message crystal clear. China is ready to extend CPEC into Afghanistan, creating a trilateral framework that could reshape regional security forever. Think about this strategically. China gets direct land access to Central Asian markets whilst addressing Xinjiang security concerns. Pakistan gains a Western economic outlet and Chinese mediation with the Taliban. Afghanistan receives desperately needed investment and international legitimacy. And India? India gets surrounded.
We should be very clear that China has been trying for a long time that CPEC becomes a viable proposition. It has not been able to do so till now. Now, its reaching out to Afghanistan really does not make much of a difference apart from just a show of position, because China already now at this moment has an access to Arabian Sea through Iran. In fact, already the trains from China have reached Iranian landmass through Central Asia. So it already has one prong of the so-called BRI, which is reaching the Arabian Sea. The second one under Pakistan has also happened, but considering the security situation, it has not really been feasible for China to move cargoes the way they would have liked. So what getting Afghanistan on board is concerned, basically China is trying to show to the world that they have the capacity to bridge the differences between Taliban and Pakistan, which have emanated in recent past. So they're hoping that this would bring about. I'm quite sanguine about it because, as I said, Taliban is an ideological entity. And Taliban has never ever made any compromises as far as their ideology is concerned. So if China feels that Taliban will crack down on TTP, it's not likely to happen because Taliban considers Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan as their ideological brethren, and they will always have safe haven in Afghanistan. And this single issue itself is sufficient for Afghanistan-Pakistan relations to be tense, at least in near future.
The timing couldn't be more provocative. Just as India and China have been cautiously exploring diplomatic thaw following their deadly 2020 Galwan clash, Beijing simultaneously strengthens its alliance with Islamabad and courts Kabul. It's diplomatic chess at its finest, or most cynical, depending on your perspective. This dual approach reveals China's sophisticated balancing act. Engage India bilaterally whilst constraining it multilaterally. Pursue border de-escalation whilst expanding strategic encirclement. It's the geopolitical equivalent of offering a handshake whilst positioning pieces on a chessboard. However, there remains massive cracks in this grand strategy. In Balochistan, local communities are rising in resistance. They see Chinese investment benefiting Beijing and Islamabad's elite whilst leaving them marginalized. Gwadar residents protest being excluded from development benefits. These aren't just economic grievances. They're challenges to the project's fundamental sustainability. The debt dynamics are equally troubling for Pakistan. CPEC's first phase already saddles Islamabad with billions in Chinese loans, much of it commercial rather than concessional financing. CPEC 2.0 threatens to deepen this dependency exponentially. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most Chinese companies repatriate profits rather than reinvesting locally. Pakistan may find itself hosting Chinese industries, providing Chinese companies with market access, whilst receiving limited long-term economic benefits. It's development with Chinese characteristics and Chinese beneficiaries. So where does this leave India's strategic options? New Delhi faces a complex, multi-dimensional challenge. Military preparedness remains essential. Enhanced maritime capabilities, strengthened border management, improved surveillance systems. But the real competition may be economic. India's response must match China's integration strategy with competitive alternatives. This means accelerating connectivity projects with Bangladesh, Myanmar, and Sri Lanka. It means offering viable economic partnerships that provide genuine development without compromising sovereignty. The international dimension cannot be ignored either. Western nations' ability to provide credible alternatives to Chinese investment will fundamentally influence regional countries' strategic calculations. This isn't just about South Asian rivalry, it's about competing visions of international order. China's approach challenges traditional governance frameworks, territorial sovereignty principles, and debt sustainability norms. The success or failure of CPEC 2.0 will influence global development patterns for decades. Let's project forward. If CPEC 2.0 succeeds as envisioned, we could see a fundamentally altered South Asian landscape. Pakistan becomes effectively a Chinese economic protectorate. Afghanistan integrates into Chinese-led regional frameworks. India faces strategic isolation despite its growing economic and military capabilities. But success isn't guaranteed. Pakistan's debt sustainability remains questionable. Local resistance could escalate into broader instability. Regional powers may develop effective counter-strategies. The broader implications extend far beyond South Asia. CPEC 2.0 represents a test case for alternative development models in an era of great power competition. As Prime Minister Sharif prepares for Beijing, as Chinese officials court Kabul, as Indian strategists assess evolving threats, we are witnessing history in the making. Not just the construction of roads and railways, but the architecture of 21st century geopolitics. The stakes couldn't be higher. Regional security, territorial sovereignty, economic independence, and the future of rules-based international order all hang in the balance. For India, the challenge is existential. For the international community, the implications are global. The question isn't whether CPEC 2.0 will proceed. Beijing and Islamabad have made their decision. The question is how regional and global powers will respond to this fundamental reshaping of South Asian strategic dynamics. The answer will define the next chapter of international relations in our interconnected world. Thank you for watching Statecraft.